Robert Redford's emotional confession about the love of his life at 88. For decades, Robert Redford mesmerized audiences with his effortless charm, undeniable talent, and a life that seemed tailor-made for Hollywood. But beyond the dazzling red carpets and iconic film roles was a deeply personal story, one he chose to keep hidden. A tale of love, loss, and the kind of romance that lingers long after the cameras stop rolling. Through the years, he remained silent about the woman who left an unforgettable imprint on his heart. But now, at 88, the legendary actor has finally broken his silence. Who was she, and why did he guard this secret for so long? Please like, subscribe, and don't forget to hit the notification bell so you won't miss any new videos. Robert Redford is known as one of Hollywood's greatest legends, but before the fame, before the golden-haired heartthrob in Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, before the unforgettable romance of The Way We Were, he was just a kid from a working-class family in Santa Monica, California. His father worked as an accountant, his mother kept the household running, and they lived a modest life in Van Nuys, far from the glitz and glamour of Hollywood. From an early age, Redford stood out. School never captured his interest, but art, sports, and the outdoors did. He called himself a bad student, unable to focus in class. But on the tennis court or with a paintbrush in hand, he was in his element. He even had the chance to warm up tennis legend Pancho Gonzalez at the Los Angeles Tennis Club, a glimpse of the extraordinary life ahead of him. But his academic struggles caught up with him. At the University of Colorado, he lost his way, drinking heavily, losing his scholarship, and eventually being expelled. For many, that might have been the end of the road. But for Redford, it was just the beginning. He wandered through Europe, living simply in France, Spain, and Italy, sketching, painting, and searching for purpose. It was there that the first spark of acting began to take hold. When he returned to the US, he was ready to start fresh. He studied painting at Pratt Institute in New York, but something else called to him. He took a chance on acting, enrolling at the American Academy of Dramatic Arts. There were no instant breaks, no overnight success, just small roles on stage and television. But Redford, ever determined, kept going, laying the foundation for a career that would make him one of the most beloved actors of all time. Comment 1 if you admire how he traveled through Europe to find his true calling. His big break came in 1963 with the Broadway hit Barefoot in the Park, where he played a charming newlywed opposite Elizabeth Ashley. Audiences adored him, and Hollywood took notice. Soon he was landing roles in TV classics like The Twilight Zone and Perry Mason, paving the way for his leap to the big screen. By the late 60s, he was no longer just an actor, he was a movie star. Then came Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. His effortless chemistry with Paul Newman made the film an instant classic, cementing Redford as a Hollywood icon. He wasn't just a leading man, he was a heartthrob, a household name. But fame comes with a price. While he was on set for months at a time, his wife Lola was home raising their 3 children, Shauna, David, and Amy. The strain of balancing a skyrocketing career with family life started to take its toll. In later years, Redford admitted he wished he had put his family first more often. He was ambitious, driven, always chasing the next project. At the time, it felt like there was no other way. By the mid-1990s, Robert Redford was proving that time had no hold on his charm, talent, or relentless drive. At 58, he was still commanding the screen as a romantic lead, starring opposite Michelle Pfeiffer in Up Close and Personal. The film, a mix of love, ambition, and mentorship, had audiences captivated. And with Robert's signature rugged appeal, it was easy to see why. Meanwhile, Robert was expanding his legacy beyond acting. He was directing, producing, and shaping the future of cinema. In 1998, he delivered The Horse Whisperer, a deeply moving film about healing both for horses and the people who love them. Not only did he direct the film, but he also took on the lead role, reminding audiences that his presence on screen was still as powerful as ever. The movie was a commercial success, proving that Robert wasn't just a Hollywood star, he was a visionary, a storyteller who took risks and brought depth to every project. Beyond his own films, his dedication to independent cinema through the Sundance Film Festival was changing the industry. He had become more than an actor. He was a champion for new voices, giving filmmakers a platform to tell stories that might otherwise go unheard. That's why his admiration extended far beyond just his performances. People respected him for his impact, his vision, and his relentless pursuit of meaningful storytelling. As the 2000s approached, Robert Redford wasn't slowing down, he was evolving. He directed The Legend of Bagger Vance, championed environmental causes, and produced socially conscious films like The Motorcycle Diaries. His passions extended far beyond Hollywood, always reaching for something bigger than himself. Looking back, a pattern emerges. Robert was never afraid to take risks, in love or in work. Even as his family evolved and new chapters unfolded, Robert Redford never slowed down. The 2010s saw him take on some of the most daring and unexpected roles of his career. In All Is Lost, he delivered a breathtaking performance as a man stranded at sea, almost entirely without dialogue. No co-stars, no elaborate script, just him, the vast ocean, and the raw fight for survival. Critics hailed it as one of the finest performances of his later years. Then, in a move that stunned longtime fans, he stepped into the role of a villain, Alexander Pierce, the ruthless mastermind behind Hydra in Captain America, the Winter Soldier. It was a far cry from the charming outlaws and idealistic heroes he once played, but audiences loved seeing this new side of him. At 82, he announced his retirement from acting, choosing The Old Man and the Gun as his swan song. The film, where he played a charismatic bank robber, felt like a nostalgic nod to his Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid days, witty, adventurous, and effortlessly cool. But retirement didn't quite stick. Not long after, he admitted he regretted making it official, saying, "You never know." Sure enough, he returned for a brief but memorable appearance as Alexander Pierce in Avengers: Endgame, proving that storytelling was still in his blood. Through every twist and turn, Robert's passion for storytelling remained constant. Whether acting, directing, producing, or mentoring young filmmakers, he always sought to create something meaningful. His work wasn't just about entertainment, it was about pushing boundaries, sparking conversations, and leaving a lasting impact. Comment icon if you think Robert Redford redefined what it means to be a Hollywood star. Now here's the love story that shaped Robert Redford's life. It was the late 1950s when he met Lola Van Wagenen. She was everything he wasn't: calm, steady, deeply rooted in her Mormon faith. She came from Provo, Utah, a world away from his California upbringing. But something clicked. She saw something in him, and he saw something in her. Their connection was undeniable, so powerful that they defied her parents' wishes and eloped in 1958. Two young dreamers, barely more than kids, running off to get married because they couldn't stand to be apart. It was the kind of passion that belongs in a Hollywood film. But their love story wasn't all romance and happy endings. In the beginning, life was tough. Robert was still a struggling actor, and money was scarce. They lived in tiny apartments, scraping by on whatever work he could find. And then, tragedy struck. Their first child, Scott, died of sudden infant death syndrome. It was an unimaginable loss, the kind that could shatter even the strongest bond. But instead of breaking them, it pulled them closer. Lola's strength became Robert's anchor in the storm. Years later, he called her the love of his life, and it's easy to see why. Through heartbreak, uncertainty, and struggle, she stood by him, always believing in the man he would become. Still, their marriage wasn't just struggle and sacrifice. Lola was more than his wife. She was his confidant, his greatest supporter. She encouraged him to follow his passion beyond acting, backing his vision for the Sundance Film Festival. That festival would go on to transform independent cinema, but without her belief in him, who knows if it would have ever happened. By the mid-1980s, though, the cracks in their marriage had grown too deep. After 27 years together, they divorced in 1985. It wasn't a bitter split. They remained friends, co-parenting their children with respect and care. Still, it was the end of a defining chapter in his life. Decades later, Robert would call Lola the love of his life. Even though their marriage didn't last, the impact she had on him never faded. After Robert Redford and Lola went their separate ways, his life took a dramatic turn, both personally and professionally. Losing the steady foundation of his marriage wasn't easy, but he didn't let heartbreak define him. Instead, he kept moving forward. In 1987, not long after his divorce, he crossed paths with Sonia Braga, the fiery Brazilian actress known for her magnetic presence and bold performances. Their connection was instant, intense, and impossible to ignore. Sonia wasn't just stunning. She had a passion for life that matched Robert's own restless energy. Their romance burned bright, full of excitement and shared experiences. During this time, Robert was promoting the Milagro Beanfield War, a film he directed that tackled themes of greed, resilience, and the fight for justice. Though it wasn't a blockbuster, it was deeply personal to him, and Sonia was by his side, even joining him at the Cannes Film Festival where they turned heads on the red carpet. But as quickly as they ignited, they burned out. By 1988, their whirlwind romance had run its course. Then came another unexpected spark. In 1990, while filming Havana, Robert found himself drawn to Lena Olin, the Swedish actress with striking eyes and undeniable charm. Their on-screen chemistry was electric, but it didn't stop when the cameras stopped rolling. Anyone watching their scenes could feel it, that raw, unspoken pull between two people caught in something bigger than themselves. At the film's premiere, their kiss wasn't just for show. It was real, a glimpse into what was happening behind the scenes. Their relationship, like many Hollywood romances, was passionate but fleeting. They shared more than just stolen moments. They shared creativity, intensity, and a deep appreciation for storytelling. While Robert was fully immersed in Havana, a politically charged film set against the backdrop of the Cuban Revolution, his relationship with Lena mirrored the same depth and complexity. But by 1991, their chapter had ended. Still, each of these loves left an imprint, shaping Robert's journey in ways even he might not have expected. But while his on-screen romances continued, his personal life was evolving. Around this time, he was linked to Cathy O'Rear, a costume designer nearly 20 years younger than him. Unlike the high-profile relationships of his past, this one stayed out of the tabloids. Cathy wasn't part of the Hollywood spotlight, and maybe that's exactly what Robert needed. Someone grounded, creative, and removed from the chaos of fame. Their relationship was quiet, private, and for a while it offered him a sense of stability. And yet love and work were never easy to balance. His relationships, whether with Sonia, Lena, or Cathy, each represented a different chapter in his journey. Even his longtime co-star and friend, Jane Fonda, reflected on their complex connection. She once admitted she had been in love with Robert while working together on Barefoot in the Park and The Electric Horseman. She also said he wasn't always the easiest, often arriving late or in a bad mood, but there was something about him that kept her drawn in. Their partnership spanned decades, never turning romantic, yet it added another layer to Robert's story, a man admired, desired, and always walking the fine line between passion and solitude. Then came a love unlike any before. In the late 1990s, Robert met Sibylle Sagars, a gifted artist and environmental activist. Their meeting wasn't scripted like a Hollywood romance. It was simple, natural, set against the breathtaking backdrop of his Sundance Mountain resort. Sibylle hadn't grown up following his career, hadn't been dazzled by his fame. In fact, she later admitted to renting his movies just to catch up before their first dinner. But Robert never brought them up. That night wasn't about film or fame. It was about two people finding something real. For Robert, that made all the difference. After decades in the spotlight, he had finally found a relationship free from the weight of his stardom. Their bond grew stronger, and in 2009, they married in a private ceremony in Sibylle's hometown of Hamburg, Germany. Like Robert, she was a storyteller, but her medium was art. Her paintings, sketches, and performance pieces celebrated nature, raising awareness for the planet's fragility and beauty. Together, they became a force for change, blending their passions into something greater. They co-founded The Way of the Rain, a non-profit merging Sibylle's art with Robert's storytelling to promote environmental protection. Robert once said that Sibylle gave him a new life, and it's clear why. She wasn't just his partner, she was his equal, his inspiration, his next great chapter. Now with Sibylle by his side, his focus has shifted to the things that matter most: family, art, and protecting the planet. He once said, "Life is about learning and growing, no matter your age." And looking at everything he's accomplished, that truth shines through. Robert Redford isn't just a Hollywood legend. He's a father, a grandfather, an artist, and a man who never stopped believing in the power of stories to shape the world. His is a life of love, loss, passion and purpose, a life well lived and still unfolding. If you enjoyed this video, drop MVP in the comments to let me know you made it to the end. Robert Redford's life is a tapestry woven from humble beginnings, an extraordinary career, and a series of profound love stories that shaped him into the legend he is today. From the restless kid in Santa Monica who found his calling in art and acting, to the Hollywood icon whose films and Sundance vision redefined cinema, he never stopped chasing meaning. Thank you for watching our channel. If you enjoy this video, don't forget to like, share and subscribe so you won't miss any of our upcoming videos. See you next time and have a great day.